All right, watch nerds. We're gonna do a little bit of a kind of like a follow-up video, and I'll probably do a couple of these for a couple of my favorite brands. Do like a brand, kind of like a brand highlight of what I like, what I don't, feedback of what the watches were like to live with. How often do I actually wear them? Because a lot of times you get a watch and it's like, oh, it looks really cool and it's awesome out of the box, but then I don't know, you find yourself gravitating towards others. By the way, hit like, hit subscribe. Costs you nothing. Turn on a little notification bell, and go from there. So one of my favorite brands, I like Tissot. I love Citizen, Seiko, Longines, Cuervo y Sobrinos, Hamilton. There's a lot of there's no shortage of good quality, affordable watches today. The market is flooded with them. There are tons of them, and there's a lot of micro brands. Now, some of those brands are decent enough watches, but they're like homages. They're basically, a company like Pagani Design or San Martin. They make good watches, but they basically copy other people's designs, and then they just put like a Seiko movement that they buy off the shelf from Seiko, and those are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I have some. I've had several over the years. But I always do look for something that's doing things a little bit differently. So there are the real micro brands, Brew, Liv, Christopher Ward, Formex. Like there's another tier of micro brands that are putting out really good quality, very different and interesting designs. I mean, I think Liv and Christopher Ward and Formex are putting out some amazing things. They cost a little bit more, and some might say, well, do you want to spend that much money on a brand that you don't know much about? Well, we're going to talk about this brand a little bit because I think, if you've got the means, I think you should. I really highly recommend these guys. So what I really like about them is for what you get, they put a lot of thought into their designs. Now I'm going to critique some things, and some I've done individual reviews of these, and there's been some critiques of some things. So I'll kind of sum it all up here, and I will be sure to send it over to them. They're a really fun company. They started in 2014, started on Kickstarter. They were doing some really cool designs. I think the GX1 was their genesis, their first watch, and they set a goal of $30,000 or $40,000, and they did over $1 million. Now, a lot of companies have been that flash in the pan. They go to Kickstarter, they have a really cool concept, they get a lot of good hype because they got the word out and had some good marketing on social media, and everyone's like, oh, this is awesome. And I have fallen into some of those in the past with like, I don't even remember the name of the company because it just went away, but it was selling like a little, kind of like before there was a Chrome PCs or whatever, there was a little Android box with HDMI ports and USB ports. It was like this big, and you just use it as a computer. You could just take it with you, fit in your pocket. It's kind of cool. And they sold a shit ton of them and shipped them, and everyone kind of got it because it was like on paper, it was a great idea, but then you got it and you're like, it's not that great. And you never heard from them again. They kind of took their money, that was their thing, and who knows what happened. To do that repeatedly, the internet never forgets. So if you do a Kickstarter and you have that big, smash hit on your hands, if the reality doesn't match up to the hype, you're toast. You're done. So to do it a second time, and then a third time, and then a fourth time, tells you, and each time, 1.1 million, 1.3 million, 1.7 million. These were record-setting for Swiss watches. I don't even think those records have been broken since. So these guys have been around for just over a decade. They've had amazing success on Kickstarter, and these guys are like rock stars, man. They're making really cool stuff. So they've done it multiple times. I think they still do. You can buy through Kickstarter because it's just another avenue of revenue and sales and exposure for them. But now they have their own website. You can deal directly. They have a concierge service that you get to work with. It's a really cool approach. I mean, if I have a problem with one of these watches, I can literally text Chaz. I probably got text on my phone right now from, hey, we've got this new model. You're on the short list if you want to check it out. I can email him and say, dude, I'm having a problem. He'll be like, I'll have James or someone reach out to you and we'll get it sorted. Like that's the kind of response and the kind of experience you get with this company, right? And maybe you can do that when you're a smaller micro brand, and you obviously can't do that with whoever owns Seiko or Rolex or whatever, but it's still cool nonetheless. So I'm going to go through the different models I have and kind of critique each one and what I like, what I don't like, and what the experience of ownership has been like, So I'm going to start on the left-hand side. We're going to go in order of price, okay? This is the GX1 Panda. Then we've got the Rebel AR. And then we've got the P51 Mustang Cripes A Mighty Edition. And these currently are retailing for $575, $950, or $990 if you want the stainless steel bracelet. This one is $1,850. If you want the titanium bracelet, I believe it pushes it up over $2,000. So they're not inexpensive watches. I mean, you could buy a lot of nice Tissot's, and I mean, this one right here is the same price as a Tissot C-Star and some of the Bulivas, and even some of the nice, the Seikos and stuff like that. So by no means are these cheap, but they are value. What you get for your money here is actually pretty crazy. So the first one we'll look at is the GX1 Panda. So this is a reissue of the original watch that kind of started it all. Let me pull up the specs. So this one is 45 millimeters, okay? So we've got a Swiss caliber 5040D movement. We have a 1/10 of a second Swiss chronograph, neural bezel. It is screw down crown, 316L stainless. It also has AR coated sapphire. And this one is water resistant to 200 meters. So this is a good, nice, sturdy. It's not a dive watch because you don't have the bezel, but honestly, in some ways, it kind of almost feels like a dive watch. It's a really cool sport watch. The chronograph is sweet. It is quartz, so every few years you'll have to put the, whatchamacallit in there, throw in a battery. But no big deal. Take it to your favorite watch shop or, whatever you do. With them, to keep your warranty intact, because you do get a 5-year warranty on these, they would prefer you to take it to a jeweler to do it, and that way they can inspect the gasket, make sure everything's good. And if you keep the receipt and it leaks, whatever happens, something happens, you keep your warranty intact. So even though changing your batteries is normally easy, just pay the jeweler $20 to do it and keep the receipt. What I really like about these things is the design and the dial. So I'm going to try to keep this here so you can kind of focus on it. The machining, the anodizing on the buttons, the knurling that I mentioned here on the screw down crown. It's a very, very nice watch. It is beautifully crafted, put together really well. It feels quality. It's a nice, sturdy watch. The action, very sweet. Nice little click. You got your 1/10 of a second going down there. Now, that's only going to do it for the first, so many minutes or whatever, because it doesn't want to just kill the battery running that, because that extra complication does use. But I see my seconds, 1/10 of a second, and then minutes. Stop. Reset. Really, really nice. Very cool watch. Now, when I ordered this is an aftermarket bracelet, and this is my critique on this particular watch. These bracelets are super comfortable. And in some ways, this is molded to fit in there and lock in, and so it covers up any sharp edges and anything like that. And it looks brilliant. And it is comfortable. But the problem is I have 7.3-inch wrists. I don't have tiny wrists, but I don't have big fat wrists either. But for me to wear this, I'm literally on the last one. It's made for massive wrists. And that's probably going to be my other critique, is they don't really make any small watches. They got one model that's a 42 mil, and then they've got one that's a 41, a dive watch. Nothing smaller than that. So that's going to turn a lot of people off. My one critique I would give to them is to maybe come up with a cool design. Not so much for me, because I don't really want to wear anything smaller than a 40, but having something down in a 38, 39, or a woman's watch. They don't have anything really that fits a woman, other than the 41 and 42 men's watches, which is kind of big for a girl. These bands are nice. The problem is everything, like here, dog hair, everything sticks to the silicone. That's the problem with silicone. It's soft and pliable and comfortable, and I love what they've done with the, just to break up the black and make it look a little more upscale. I love the machining on the clasp. Very nice. It's all tastefully done aesthetically, and it's not a bad strap. I just don't like silicone. I don't like the fact that this thing slides all over the place. I prefer FKM rubber. If you were to buy like a Breitling or I don't know, what would be like a Rolex, sometimes you get Submariners that have the rubber bracelet or the rubber strap. They're FKM rubber. These are $20 off Amazon, and they're fantastic. These things they're curved already. They're nice and pliable. They're not sticky. That's the problem with this, is it sticks and it can pull on your arm hairs. It attracts things. If you have your shirt sleeve on it, you got to move your sleeve to read it. The shirt kind of snags on it. I don't like silicone straps. Sometimes Apple or other companies do it in such a way where it's a little bit different and everything's rounded and things do seem to slide over it a little bit better on the Apple Watches. But on this, I'm just not feeling it. And the fact that it's so big and it just doesn't fit well unless you have massive wrists. I like these, but for this one, I ended up going with one. I don't even remember. It's not even quick release. I might have paid $22 for this off of Amazon. Now this one is silicone, but it just, for whatever reason, maybe because of all the texture, it doesn't seem to grab as much and have as much stiction as that. I also liked it because you got this knurling here, and I just felt it went better than using just a plain black one. This almost has like a motorsport, even though it doesn't have the tachometer on the outside, or tachymeter as some people say. But it does have, it kind of has a sport timer vibe, and this almost has like a tire tread. I felt like that looked really good, even though you see the gap there, whereas this would have plugged that. Aesthetically, this may look a tiny bit better, but this is a better wearing strap for me. And you can wear it for smaller wrists. So if you got a watch like this and you've got 6 3/4 or 7-inch wrists, the included strap ain't gonna work for you. And the metal bracelet, if you ordered it with that, I don't know how small that can go. So you might want to consider that, you know, just get whatever the cheapest strap is with this, with the intention that you're going to swap it out for something that is a better fit for your wrist. But that is an absolutely fantastic. This is the GX1. I went with the Panda. The lume is great. The depth, it's a multi-layer dial with applied indices and stuff. It's just absolutely fantastic. $575. Very, very cool. So the next one I went with is the Rebel AR. Now they do have a Rebel DCC, which is actually a chronograph, and in some ways looks a little nicer, but I wanted an automatic. So I went with this. The other one is quartz, like that one, but it does have other complications, and in some ways it actually looks a little nicer. But I like this, that it was a little bit less busy and a little more understated, very clean. This is the Rebel AR Le Mans. Now, fantastic watch. This one has it doesn't say, you know, when you look at the details, let's see, it says ELABORE, and there's a accent aigu, I guess, or is that an umlaut? I don't know, over the E. So elaborate grade, 26 joule Swiss automatic movement with 42-hour power reserve. It is certified. It comes with an authentication that they've certified it of plus or minus 5 seconds a day, which is pretty damn good for an automatic. That's really good. So screw down crown. Also, both this and this are 100-meter water resistant. Screw down crown, nice little crown guards. Couple things that I like about this. I love just the different shape. It's 42 millimeters this way, but it is obviously taller. I'm not going to go through every single dimension. You can get that off the website, look up in the description. I love the open case back. It's sapphire. It's also curved to your wrist. So while this is steel, this is a good chunk of weight. It curves to your wrist nice, and it really does fit well. I did order this with the stainless steel bracelet, and that does bring the price up to $990. So with shipping or tax, you're looking at just over $1,000. Here's what I didn't like about this. It adds a lot of weight to an already heavy watch, but also when it comes to the strap, you know, you got to be careful not to scratch your watch. And obviously, it's not recessed, but there's no, it doesn't bulge out, but you got this big curved crystal. You want to be careful about banging into stuff. But when you've got this PVD coating, all my watches have scratch. And you know, if you've got a bracelet watch, you're typing all day and stuff, you know, you go, well, that's stainless steel, and you're just on a tabletop. Well, the steel is harder than that. Doesn't matter. It scratches. Any bits of dust might be tiny, have little bits of silica, sand, stuff like that. Even though it's stainless steel, it is not hardened stainless steel. So it's strong. It will resist corrosion, but it's not hardened like a knife blade. If you made a knife blade out of that stuff, you'd dull it out after slicing like 4 pieces of paper. Wouldn't hold an edge for shit. So it does scratch fairly easily. The stainless steel is somewhat soft. And the problem is, you know, when it's regular stainless steel, depending on the finish, you might be able to take like 800 grit sandpaper and just give it a wipe or two and make it look rebrushed or something, right? Or if it's polished, you could take a polishing cloth and maybe repolish it and get 90% of those little hairline scratches out. When it's PVD coating, what do? Right? And so I like the black look. I think it looks very cool. But when you scratch it, there's no way, I mean, what are you going to do? Re-PVD coat? There's no way to realistically fix that. And having the silver show against the black, you get that high contrast. So I do kind of wish they had brushed versions of these. I might have preferred that. I think it's easier it hides the wear better. Anytime you scratch that, you're going to see that from across the room, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, some people that may not bother, because you can say, well, hey, head's character, it's battle scars. It means the watch is being worn and used and enjoyed. You're right. I get all that. Unlike these straps, I had the stainless here, but I did go with the same brand here. I think it's Anafit. They do offer them in 23 mil. It is quick release. It just gives it a nice premium feel. The texture's good. It's waterproof, so I can wear it in the shower because it does have 100 meter water resistance. But I would love to see them offered in a not black PVD coating. And if you do get it, I would recommend not going with the black bracelet. Just black on black, it's so much black. But when you scratch that up, it's I think most people are gonna go, eh. So I go with this, save yourself $40. Well, then you spend 20. So you're only spending $20, saving $20. But I think you'll like it better with this. Also, when you have open case backs and you have bracelets, you can't lay them flat when you got a bracelet on it. And also it covers up the movement. It's nice to be able to take it off and actually see that unobstructed without having, your stainless steel bracelet there and you're trying to look at it at an angle. So for this kind of watch, I actually prefer this. My critiques of the watch, besides the finish, all the Liv watches have orange. It's in their logo. It's kind of their signature thing. But when you have red and blue and then orange, I don't like that. I would have rather had nothing there, honestly. I don't mind it on the crown because that's just a logo. But once you add that to the design language and you've got orange as part of the overall theme, and then you mix it up with colors that kind of don't go with that, to me, that looks a little wonky. One of the things I wanted to do was actually put a red strap on here. And the red looks really good if you look at this straight on. But when you turn it to the side and you see the red and orange together, it looks tacky. It looks like it doesn't go. And that's a shame because this watch actually otherwise looks cool on a red, like a deep blood red strap that matches the red stripe there. That's my critique of this. Apart from that, it's a fantastic watch. Getting rid of the bracelet and putting this on did lighten it up a little bit. It's more comfortable. I don't have to worry about scratching it as much and stuff like that. And unlike the strap here, where this thing just slides all over the place, this has little lugs right there that lock that into place. So this one always stays put. I think that's important. That would be my critique. And I've made that to them before, and they said they'll actually consider that. The only thing that would make this look better would be is if they took a strap like this and put the Liv logos. I think that would make this a little less plain. But right now, this is plain, but it focuses everything there. So that's the Rebel AR. Fantastic watch. Love it. All right. So next one we've got is the P51 Mustang. And you get these in a bunch of different colors. They give them cool names because they're naming them after certain airplanes and stuff from World War II. This is a pilot watch. This one just has the date. That just has the date. This is a day date. It also has a unidirectional bezel with really, really good action if you're the fidget kind of guy. Also a stopwatch. This one is not 1/10 of a second. So you got your sweeping second hand. You've got one of these will be minutes and one of those will be hours. I don't remember which one's which. You've got your timer, your bezel up here for your 12 hours as opposed to minutes like on a dive watch. This one is also automatic. So this one uses an ETA movement, I believe. Let's go in and double check. First we'll do the specs. Day date, 12-hour chronograph powered by the legendary ETA 7750 Swiss movement, automatic. We've got 25 joules, 42-hour plus power reserve, Liv certified at +5 seconds of accuracy with a certificate of accuracy. So we got 45 seconds. I'm sorry, this is a case diameter of 46 millimeters. So this is a big boy. 45, I believe. That one's a 42. This is a 46. But it's titanium. So it's got some weight, but it's not as heavy as you would think. It's actually slightly lighter. It feels like it's no heavier than any of these, even though it's a bigger, thicker, chunkier watch, which is kind of cool. Lug width 23 mil, case height is 15.5, height to with the lugs is 52.4, which isn't a whole lot considering the case diameter is 46. So to go lug to lug only for going from 46 to 52, not bad. 101.5 grams. So not a light watch, but again, for a beast of a watch, it's actually pretty light. This timepiece fits a 6.8 to 9.95 inch wrists. Who's got a 10-inch wrist? The Hulk? Fat bastard from Austin Powers? Jesus. So again, these are watches that if you use their included straps, you will be limited, to certain wrist sizes. I do wish they made smaller watches for other folks. I think that would increase their appeal in their market. So let's see. You've got another 3D sandwiched layer of dial here. You got different levels of depth. Just very, very beautiful. And so my critique of this one, oh, by the way, this is also limited edition. They only made 1,000 of them. I have number 457. You can see the customized rotor, see the movement in the back. This one has, let's see, these two are 100-meter water resistance. This one's 200. I think I misspoke before. These two are 100. They're all screw-down crowns, but that one's 200. These are 100. Very cool watch. Comes with the quick disconnect leather strap. I don't really have much of a critique for this one other than the leather strap looks fantastic. This has the look. This watch would look right at home on Indiana Jones's wrist with his weathered, whatever bomber jacket. And that's kind of probably what they were going for here. I'm pretty sure Chaz was modeling this with an Indiana Jones hat and a bomber jacket in the office there when he came up with this. So good job there, Chaz. This thing is amazing looking. It's beautiful. Everything about it is just precise. I love the automatic movement. It's a great movement. Looks good, wears well. The only thing is, sometimes I put this one on, the strap. And that's because the leather is really thick up here. So this thing takes a while. And because it's so thick, you'll see how it kind of bunches up there. Again, if you had a wider fat wrist, then you wouldn't have to, the radius of the wrist would be wider and you wouldn't have to bend it as much. At a 7.3-inch wrist, which is not a tiny wrist, I'm at the small end of the spectrum of what this was designed for. So for me, that has to bend more. This is made for bigger wrists. While it wears on my wrist nice, I'm all the way up here to the second from the last hole. And it's so thick up here, it just doesn't really want to bend much. So this one, despite having had it for a few months, it takes a few months of you having to sit there and really kind of get that to bend, because it's going to bend where there's least resistance, which is where it tapers down and it's thin. So it wants to bend here, but not so much there. And so you get this you don't get a smooth arc around your wrist. That's my critique of this. Now, can you change that? Well, yeah, you can go, because the leather's so thick, it's hard to get my damn thumbnail on the little nubbin. But we can go ahead and pop that off, and we can go ahead and slap on the orange FKM rubber, which I think is the one that looks best, because this is it's black, but it almost has a bluish, deep, deep blue tinge to it. So when you put black on it, you actually kind of see the contrast. Now, with the orange strap, that actually looks good because you got orange on the dial. It actually works pretty well. And I like the orange. And I think it actually wears nice, and you can wear it in the shower then and not worry about getting your leather all scuzzy and waterlogged and stuff like that. But it doesn't look as good as this. So this is one of those things where I kind of wish, I like the look of the brown leather, and I know what they were going for here, but my critique would be, have it thick. I would have it, because you want it thick here, because you don't want, how do I explain this? You don't want to have a big drop off. Like here, you see there's like a lip. I don't know, and you can feel that. When you take that off and you put this guy back on, it kind of fills that gap so that it sort of sits flush, right? There's not as much of a gap there. So I know what they were going for there. And it's a big rugged watch and they want to be proportional. I just find that when you try to bend this, notice I can bend the shit out of this, but not that. And you really want that smooth arc across because your wrist, the arc here is less, it's shallow, here it's sharp. And so this, on the shallow part, it flexes too much, but on the part where it really needs to bend, it doesn't. So this kind of stands off your wrist and then it does all its bending down here. And it doesn't feel as good, but it does look better. So I'm sticking with it, but that's just a comfort thing. If I had a big 8.5-inch wrist, I don't think that would be a problem. But that goes back to my one primary critique about most of their watches is these are big, bold, in your face, see from across the room, wow, that's cool, I want to know about that watch. They're knocking it out of the park in those areas. But when it comes to the actual wearability, some of their strap choices just don't seem to work as well. And that's why I have aftermarket. If I was going to go with the GX1A, which is their 42 mil automatic version of this, then I think it makes more sense to have the steel bracelet because some of those models are offered in a light gray or a brushed stainless steel. And then it's like a Tissot or Seiko or anything else where you don't have to worry about scratching the black and then having it show and be ugly and there's no way to repair it. It's stuck. You scratch it, that's it. And like I said, silver on black, you see that a mile away. And if you're really into your watches, it's going to bug the shit out of you. Whereas it kind of blends in with the brush on the other stuff. Yeah, you notice it there, but all right, it's a worn watch, but it doesn't look like you beat the shit out of it. This will, using this one right here, this will very quickly look like you beat the hell out of your watch, and it'll stop having that nice look. And if it's something you're wearing for a beater watch, well, maybe you don't care. If it's something you're wearing for, a casual / dress-y watch, you might care how beat up it looks. So just my thoughts. Nothing negative about the watches other than I wouldn't use that orange when you've got different colors that clash with it. To me, that does not look good. And as a result, it limits, I think, your option of what colors you might want down here. You might wanted blue. You might wanted a dark blue. You might wanted red. Blue against orange and red against orange just doesn't look right. So you're pretty much stuck with black rubber, black leather, or the black stainless steel that you're going to scratch the shit out of and hate. So overall, phenomenal. I don't regret any of these things. The good news is when you buy from these guys, you have a 30-day full money back guarantee. Try it out for 90 days. If you don't like it, send it back. And they'll give you a credit, or they will, give you all your money back. Like as long as you didn't beat the watch up or anything like that. If you send it back in pristine condition, you're like, hey, I thought it was cool. It just wasn't gelling with me. I'm not digging it. Okay, send it back. Email James and they'll hook you up and let you send it back and you get a full refund. They stand behind their product. Also, they have a program where sometimes you have a watch from them and after a while you're like, you know what, I don't want to, maybe it's past the 90 days. They'll give you good market value for the used watch and you can sell it back to them and they'll refurb, touch it up, change the strap if it needed it. And they sell used versions of, examples of their watches, the people that have traded them in. They're going to have to go through quality control and all that stuff to make sure they're not selling something broken and all that, but they it's like buying a pre-owned Mercedes or Lexus or BMW. Get certified, you get it at a discount. And so even if you're past the 90 days, yeah, it's just a really cool approach. It's a very personalized approach. There's nothing personal about buying a Seiko. You can buy them anywhere, buy them on Amazon. It is what it is. They're all fantastic watches. You're not going to go wrong with a Tissot. You're not going to go wrong with Longines. Any reputable brand is going to, have a good quality product, and their customer service may be fine too. I just like the fact that I can pick up the phone and I can call James or even get a hold of Chaz directly and be like, hey, here's some feedback, or hey, this is what's going on with my watch. I think it's broken. He'd be like, well, dude, just send it in. We'll get you another one. It's a very cool experience. So as far as the company, 10 out of 10. As far as the watches themselves, 9.5 out of 10. I'm nitpicking. I'm looking for things to find wrong with it. And I think the straps and things, I think my critiques are valid. I think this could be better, or maybe this is just something where it's going to take me months of wearing this watch. The problem if you wore it every day, maybe in 2 weeks it'd be different. But I'm wearing a watch here, a watch there, because I got so many of the damn things. So, maybe in time this critique will go away. I just think having it so thin here and then like 3 or 4 times thick there, it doesn't provide a good bending, molding to your wrist experience. It just wants to bend on the thin part, and then this wants to stay stiff as a rail. And it's just, that's my take. And then the orange, I get rid of that. I think on the cases that have orange here, that's fine, because then it's like orange. If you wanted black with orange accent, then it makes sense. When you put in like some of the watches like green and those colors don't go together. So that would be my critique there. I think from a design thing, they should have made some of these cases. I don't mind the name Rebel on the side that's engraved. I don't mind that channel. Just don't paint it. Don't put the enamel in it if you're going to sell it on a watch with a different color dial. It clashes. It doesn't look right. But I can live with it. I think as far as which watches I love best out of these three, I don't know. I mean, this one I think is the cheapest and it's the most affordable. This one's the most interesting. But I really like this shape. It's just different. Everybody's got round watches. And a lot of times when you go for square or rectangles, they're too small. A lot of the rectangles are little watches, and that doesn't look right on my wrist. So I saw this and I'm like, that's damn near, I mean, it's in the size I like of the 42 to 44, 45s, although that's a 46, but my sweet spot typically is 41 to 43-ish. I can go down to 40, I can go up to 45 or 46, but this is right in that. And for that design, for that shape, I was like, it's unusual to find squares that big, that fit my wrist because I got very long arms. So that's what I've got to say on Liv. They're a fantastic company. They have a fantastic product. They are up there with the Christopher Wards, in my opinion. Now, Christopher, you can say, well, the Christopher Ward might do these other things, and they've got that $4,500, what's the one that dings every hour? Yeah, okay. They're doing some other things, but that's a very niche market for people that are buying those kinds of watches. Because you get to $4,500, you're no longer in micro brand pricing. You're now getting into, like, you can buy a Tudor for that. You can go buy probably a low level Omega. You can go buy a TOG Carrera, not the formulas, the quartz watches, but go get a proper Carrera. You're getting up into that area. You can buy Breitling for $4,500. So Christopher Ward's doing things a little bit differently with some of their stuff. But I would put this up in there with your Christopher Wards, and as far as quality and fit and finish. Just some things I didn't like, but they're easily fixed with just going with an aftermarket strap. I mean, not a big deal. It would be nice to see them offer a Liv branded ones of this kind of stuff, but that's about it. So at this point, I've talked your ears off for over half an hour, but I wanted to go into detail. I love the brand. I love the product, the customer service experience. I've never had a watch company. I'll be honest, I haven't had a lot of companies, knife companies, gun companies, car companies, motorcycle companies. I haven't had, especially in today's world where most customer service has just gone to shit. We're constantly complaining about customer service and is just gone the way of the dodo, and nobody cares about and takes pride in supporting their products and taking ownership if something doesn't work or you got a lemon. That is so common in today's world that it is beyond refreshing to see a company like Liv putting their money where their mouth is and standing behind their product, making the buying experience positive, if you're one of the very rare unlucky people that have an issue, they take care of you. These guys have got thousands and thousands of five-star reviews. It's a very cool approach to have a personal feel, and they take client feedback. And I remember last year I was like, hey, I would really love a 44 mil diver. The 41's too small. Can you do one in sky blue? And he's like, be patient. And then they just released one. And I'm like, oh, I've got to scramble for some money. I need to buy that one. It's a very cool company. It's a very amazing product. I don't think you can go wrong. If you're not ready to jump in on the deeper end of their prices, look for, sometimes there could be a sale, or you refer a friend, or you get a coupon. I don't know. I mean, But $575 is Seiko territory. It's Tissot territory. You're not even into Longines or anything like that. You're in your normal, go spend $400, $500, $600 on a nicer Bulova or Seiko or something like that. If you want to try something off the beaten path that has a nice story behind it and just a really, really cool design, give these guys a shot, man. I don't think you regret it. And the beauty is, you got 3 freaking months to wear the watch and play with it. If you don't like it, no questions asked, no hassle, 90-day free returns. You got a 5-year international warranty. They got free worldwide express delivery. It's a cool thing. I would give them a shot if I were you. If you're in the market for a watch and you don't want to have just the same old watch. I have some of those same old watches. They're good watches. But then you look, I don't know, there's nothing to talk about. Oh, you got a Seiko solar chronograph Panda? Oh, yeah, me too. All right, nice talking to you. I mean, what are you going to talk about? It's nice to have something that everybody doesn't have. It's why I bought the Cuervo y Sobrinos on my cruise, and I decided against the Tudor. A lot of people have Tudors. Everyone else is like, what is that? Because that looks like a really swank watch. And now you're striking up a conversation. That's what this does. You know? So anyway, now we're at 35 minutes. Sorry, 36 minutes. Damn. I'll let you guys go. Have a good one.